So, welcome. Black Men's Wellness and Wealth, Episode 5. Daryl Sellers with Terrence Brown, James Page, and Nevin Taylor, of course, on controls. It's Emmanuel Duncan. So, we've talked about a variety of things for the first 4 episodes, gotten into some of the things, the issues we're seeing, and other things, current events. Now, we're going to merge into something deeper, that reflection, talking about what we'd say to ourselves. That journey we've seen along the way, changes, but still evolving along the way, day to day, minute to minute, second to second. So you see the mirror there, that is kind of our prop. It's really representative of talking to ourselves. And Nevin, I see it's by you. So you're the lucky one to talk about, along the way. You spoke about a lot of things the first 4 weeks, but, what would you say to yourself now, where you've gone? There's still more to see. God's not done with you yet.
I think that's the last part of it. God's not done with me yet. Is one thing that I try to say on a regular basis. I was talking to my mother on the way over here, and I was telling her that they were talking about. I woke up fairly early, and they were talking about time, and they were just saying that's the main thing that no one has control over is time, but it's going to go. It's either going to help you or hurt you. And they talked about in our community how we say this too shall pass, and us not having a real understanding that saying is due to time. It coincides with time, and that this too shall pass really about time. So like you said, every minute, every second. So I think about that, and I also just think about how I can be a better me. How today can I do one thing, not complain, have faith, be grateful, be thankful, and try to be a better me. Those are the things that I look in the mirror and I really say, because the thing I find is that it's too easy. It's way too easy for you to step into an arena and just have a bunch of negative Nellies, and y'all just sit around and talk about all the bad things that went on. So that's what I do when I really reflect and look in the mirror and try to create that balance and try to move forward in my journey.
I like that message, and I like you have another balanced hoodie. I think that should be one of our themes. I like that, Nevin. You talk about, being a better me. The things we learn along the way, no matter where we are. It's not just, I just made it to this standing in my job. I just achieved this. But, the journey, you still have to go. Each one, reach one, teach one. There's another generation out there. And I'll get more into that myself. But James, you've imparted a lot of great wisdom. Talk about talking to yourself, your journey, your reflections. Dig deep for us.
Well, I'm going to go into right today, like they were talking about. It's good to get in the mirror and talk to yourself. And you said something about achievement. I think about success. A lot of times, like I spoke before about chasing something, chasing money or chasing this, but I found out it's easy to have success, but it's hard to be relevant.
Ooh.
And that's what I'm looking in the mirror and trying to be relevant. And relevant to what? To my family, to the community, to healing kids, healing Black people. Success is needed, but to be relevant, you have to really focus on what's my purpose? What am I trying to achieve? Am I just looking for gold, or am I looking for the soul?
Ooh, I like that.
So-
That's a good line. What conversations you have with your grandkids when you talk about, it's not about chasing that dollar, and, just some of the things that you share with them to help this generation going forward?
Yeah, I share with them to be in their own time and space. I let them know some things. When I was your age, I didn't understand certain things, but I understood my relationship with my grandfather, and I understand my relationship with my grandson. So it's not always be trying to teach them to be smart or wisdom, but just teaching them to, trust themselves,
Mm-hmm.
to be where they're at and know that they're safe. Look for things that will make them safe. Like their father or situations.
Yeah.
You feel, when you feel safe.
Like that. So you're helping them with that path, and that's what we're doing for our younger ones, our age and even older. And you're a coach, Terrence. So, coaching, life, parenting, what do you say as you have all these things in your journey, in your path, in your reflection?
Yeah, I want to pick up on what Nevin and James said. So for me, the thing that I would say that bridges that is really run your race. We've all been given a race to run.
Mm-hmm.
And I just keep remembering this phrase: the race is not given to the swift, nor to the faint of heart, but to he that endures. And so part of running your race is knowing the race that you're in and not necessarily judging it based upon the attributes that other folks have, the trappings that other folks have, right? Some folks like to have that fancy car, but I'm not chasing a fancy car. I'm chasing something bigger. I'm chasing this idea of the legacy that we live, like James spoke to children and grandchildren. But not only that, James and Neville were saying in the community, to the folks around us, the folks that we touch. So, I want my legacy to be love and light, and bringing that to others through everything that I touch and everything that I do. So again, my focus is running my race and continuing despite everything that happened, besides all the challenges that may come up, knowing my race, running that race, and enduring all the way until the end.
Like that. So yeah, running your own race. I learned that from my parents. Thankful that my mom pushed me in a direction of, writing, speaking. I went into broadcasting, and I remember some powerful songs like "A Wonderful Change Has Come Over Me." Now, it's been a life's journey that's continuing. I was held back in kindergarten, ADHD. The 70s then, went into busing, one of the first to go to Anthony Junior High, racial things, through it all, some highs, some lows, but, with mentors, aunts, uncles, parents, and more. I saw each one teaching me, and also I fell down, but what did McClurkin say down in McClurkin? I got back up. So I've been able to get through all of that to get to where I am now, and it's not about what I've achieved, it's what I believe and what I can help with. That's why I also do mentoring. I work with different organizations in public relations to help with interview processes, learning how to write, because I've been so thankful to have those mentors, even in radio, Dwayne Sims, KMOJ, when I first did radio outside of high school. I've had so many wonderful leaders and mentors that have helped me, and I'm just so thankful that, at this stage now, just preparing me for something bigger and greater, and I can't wait to see what that is. So I'd say to people out there, wherever you are, whatever your reach is, whatever you're doing, think about what you can do, what's inside of you. We all have something that we can bring out. I had an internship in South Africa in 2003, went to Soweto. Nelson Mandela said, it's only impossible until it's done. You can do it too. So think about how you can bring out your greater self, and you can share that for other generations. Boy, I love this discussion and this storyline and these themes, also powerful from you all. And I know we're going to talk more about that as we think of more things. We go day to day, hour to hour, week to week. So anything you want to share about your week, Terrence? Any highs or lows? I know we're here today. That's one of the highs I always celebrate.
Yeah, a couple things. So one of the highs, I mean, is this the when so I do consulting, and so as a consultant, you're always out here planting seeds here, planting seeds there, and thinking of ways in terms of how you can serve your clients better. And I'm sure it's pretty much the same for all entrepreneurs or people out here who kind of, do things on their own. And so part of the highs is, getting an unsolicited referral. So if you're in business, that's always the best kind because you're not expecting it, but they come through, they see something in you that they're curious to learn more about, and they want to explore. It's like the first step on that pathway to doing something different or doing something more. So that was exciting. On the other side, there's always going to be, challenges, things like that. But even in those challenges, I've been working really hard on, despite challenges, seeing the opportunity in that challenge. So when one door closes, another door can open. Or you're on this path, but then you have a branch off here and a branch off there. And trying to see, not getting stuck in the change, like we all sometimes do, I don't want to change, I don't want to do something different. But what new possibilities does that open up? So even though, you hit those challenges like I hit this week on the low part, taking the time, getting back to your fundamentals, saying, okay, what does this also bring forward?
Yeah, it's true. And James, I know as a ground navigator and other things you do, there's some things you're seeing. Speak about one of the big blessings you've seen this week, maybe a challenge you overcame that led to that, whatever you've seen lately.
Overcoming myself, unlearning some things and letting them go, and feeling good about it.
What are some of those big things you had to do that?
Getting in the mirror, actually putting myself out there, talking to other people, getting involved. I'm starting to get involved with other ways other than I was always focused on helping the homeless or something like that, but some actually Roberta said earlier about you got to heal first. So I was at a breakfast this morning. It was a donation, but it's not always looking at the people like little brothers or people that you can help, but looking at ways to help heal and help yourself. And I just know it ain't about what I can give all the time. It's just about what I can be.
You can be.
Yeah.
Your best self.
My best self.
Continues down the line.
Yeah.
You're not there yet, neither.
I think kind of like he was saying, you're going to get the referral more by not what you do, but what they see in you. When they see something in you. And I was thinking about Terrence running the race. And we all get caught up in that rat race. And that's what I was thinking about when he was talking about finishing the race. But we got a chance to write our own, they move the goalpost every time. And if you run in their race, they always move the goalpost. But we got a chance to set the goalpost for ourselves and run our own race.
I like that analogy. Wow. That's cool. Thank you, James. Now, Nevin, you always said some great reflections. Talk about your week. You're finding that balance. I really love what you say is really insightful. Those words all of us say, but some of the things this week and your thoughts, your perspectives.
I try to shut it off. I have a problem with shutting it off. And when I say shut it off, shutting my mind off so I can get the adequate rest I need so that I can be ready for the next day and do the things that I need to do.
Okay.
So my reflection and also the things that I endure through the week, it's all kinds of, it's all kinds of things. I think I'm really right now, as you all know, and some of you know, is because I'm really trying to work with this healthcare
Mm.
industry
Yeah.
and be patient with them.
Right.
And I reflected on that this week, and I just thought about how many, just how many people quit
Mm-hmm.
because of the lack of direction
Mm-hmm.
that the healthcare industry, or they can put you in a place where you sit and you wait and you don't know. Or example, I had to take care of some things on that antibiotics that would have took me for 2 weeks. The lady said it was only a week. I said, no, I know what my doctor said. So it's those things. Instead, I'm going backwards because of this lack of this.
Mm.
And I think that that's what happens with a lot of people, and especially Black people. And we take it for what it is.
Yeah.
And then we
So-
just keep marching on like it's
Mhm.
nothing. And then that's what makes us not want to go.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes us not want to talk about it.
Mhm.
That's what makes us just fall out in the middle of the street somewhere because all those things that happen.
Right.
So that's kind of what the week has been like, and I think every week is like for me. Is just really kind of start, especially with I call them young ladies now because my oldest daughter's going to be 26. But I start with the week off, and we try to figure out how and what we're going to make this week like. What's the goal for this week? How much stuff we got? We plan it out. We got a plan. We put A, and then we put B, and strategize. And I just really have been a firm believer in just really trying to be, head up, shoulders back,
Mm-hmm.
and just control your gauge, control what you can control, and not get pulled into all the other madness. And I think that's what happens on a day-to-day basis. I don't care if it's at the gas station. I don't care where it's at. Someone's always trying to distract or pull you into something that you don't even want to have nothing to do with.
Right.
So I think this week has been it's been a good week. I am here. That's one of the things I'm very blessed and thankful for. I say to myself, I won't quit, man. I'm not gonna quit. It ain't time.
Yeah.
And that's just something that I say to myself every Sunday night leading into Monday. This week is about not quitting,
Mm-hmm.
because you're gonna encounter things that will try to make you quit. And I don't know how you guys grew up, but we used to wrestle, and everybody used to twist the arm behind the back.
Oh,
Uncle,
yeah.
I quit, Uncle. And it's just one of those things where they get that arm back there, but you got to figure out a way to get out of it, so you don't chicken scream and say, Uncle, give up.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the week, man. And I'll tell you what, is just the happiness. It's hard to be happy, man.
Can be. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It really
Challenge.
can be. And so when I wake up and I see the sun shining and things, or even it's gloomy, and I'll see, I'll raise it up and I send a text to my daughter. Make this sunshine, and then unfortunately, your Timberwolves they did what they did. But I even said then is that when they were winning, I'm so happy that they're winning because people treat you different. It's weird, but they treat you different, and it is funny to me. And people get so excited over having something. And Jerry Maguire, when the boy said the Quan, he said, and it's like when people have that Quan, it makes a big difference in their life.
Show me the money.
Yeah, and so it's just a lot going on, man. And I am appreciative to be blessed and thankful to be here and have these conversations.
Thank you. Good to have you all here. You speak of healthcare. I'm, making a transition. I've had a transition the last year and a half. I had some COVID campaign for 2 years. Some staffing changes happened, so I gravitated to contracting for Hennepin Health Care and Research Institute. And now I'm working for a company called CarePool, providing ride services for the aging and people with disabilities. So now I've seen myself been able to take what I've learned and work in a different way, in a different capacity. Just starting here in April as the company works in 8 states. So I've been reaching out. I've been trying to get some media attention. I've been working with Eid Ali and with the Drivers Association. What do you need? Oh, there's that agreement, but it's not giving us this. Saying all this to say that I have found another path that I had no idea was going to be available to me. And when I started the COVID campaign, I never worked in healthcare before. I worked in PR, communications, and broadcasting. But I think God really helped me step into this space. Tony Pender, a recruiter, reached out to me, hearing about me through Larry Fitzgerald Sr. So I'm like, wow, it's just amazing how you can have those kind of connections. They can see something in you, you get those opportunities. So I'm grateful that even if something else comes along that I have to gravitate towards, I think I've been prepared every step of the way. And God's not through with me or any of us yet. And I'm just so thankful to have those opportunities and knowing people, chances to grow, and finding out in our communities across the U.S. that health equity, we're not monolithic from Jacksonville to here to New Orleans and everywhere. Being our self-advocates like you are, no one can control what we can help to control. Even if there's challenges, advocacy for ourselves can be very powerful, and you can do it too. Those are really powerful messages from you all.
Now, it's powerful from you because I'll say this, is that you really had to be open to be able to gather and get that information and say, it's okay, I'm not with the COVID campaign. This is what's being sent to me. And if you didn't have a spirit and you weren't open to receive it, it could have been a whole different strategy. Things could have turned way different. So even that's important. Is not having yourself closed off and shut down and dark and cloudy, but being able to have that spirit to be open to receive the blessings and to receive the people that come around you to, endure what that may be, whatever it be. It's never too late to have a mentor.
True.
It's not never too late to be mentoree. So it's just one of those things. So that's great.
It was my course because the COVID campaign was winding down. The government saying, well, we're not going to do really any more events and this and that. So I think I was being prepared for Hennepin Healthcare and now CarePool, because I took a lot that I learned over those 2 years that are powerful now, and I'm still keeping tabs on some of the things I wrote and other things people I've spoken with, including Gary Hines, who had some powerful things to say. We hope to have him as a guest soon. He has a big message as well, health, sounds of blackness. I'm just kind of giving a preview, but we're going to look for that soon. So, thank you for Nevin. That did lead me down another path, and I know I've been able to continue to walk it. Whoa, I had to go back. I had to go right, back, front. So I'm very thankful for that. You know what else I'm thankful for? All of you, Miss Roberta too, for talking to us to get deeper, and your brother Robert. This wonderful food we get every week. I tell you, I was eating a snack, and then I saw this, and my stomach growled. I almost wanted to eat on the way home. What a balance of soup, grilled cheese, a little salad, chicken salad, and strawberries, and now these Opal organic orange or apples. I'm not saying oranges. You say orange? No. So, I can't wait to dig into this. Nevin, really great to have these things. And, we have our cravings, but when I see things like this, and even I buy things like this, I don't crave some of the other things as much. And this is almost like my popcorn now. Apples, oranges, berries. Talk about that.
You have to, what I'm finding, and I try to be so focused in on it, is that when you want to do right, eat right, and grab the right things for yourself on the go, on the fly, it's hard. And you know what? That stuff is expensive. And especially now compared to before. And I just saw an article about how the fast food chains are trying to do something different. And they're trying to bring you back in. So they're trying to go back to their prices that they had in the 80s. So you come and get that burger, because everyone is focused on trying to eat well, and I hope that we can do it, that we can really stand the test of time of trying. And now don't get me wrong, he'll eat a double cheeseburger real quick, but it's the fact of the matter is that it's everything is in moderation, and that's the most important thing right there, So and he'll be a guest too, and I think that's the things that we're going to lean towards in the next few episodes, is bringing people on and tell their story. That'd be great.
Love that. Love to hear that perspective, that healthy eating, that moderation. We can still enjoy things. We can't eat like we're 15 though, and we can still take control of our health, just taking those steps. And then, you're paying more now, but you'll pay more later if you continue to eat like you're 15. So I find, I'm like, okay, these are more expensive, but hey, I like these a lot. So I'm going to get that. I'm going to get the berries. Ooh, there's some broccoli. There's so many things you can add to your diet that really help you from the inside out and to gravitate to those things more often. James, talk about that, how you're seeing food now and how it helps you, how it strengthens you.
I'm gonna let y'all talk about the food, but what I feed on is the spirit of hope, and that's what I get from y'all. And each one of y'all have said somebody recommended you, Larry Fitzgerald, or somebody recommended you, and we had to be fed and built up in order to give it out. When I look at what the Cultural Wellness Center trying to do with the community, why they doing this podcast, why they trying to feed into us, and it's food for thought, food for feelings, food for everything. And one of my things I'm grateful for and thankful for is to be able to feed off of y'all, eat off of y'all, leave here encouraged. A lot of these words, we talk about the spirit of hope, the spirit of, all of those things really mean something to me. And we come here and we give it to the community and we get it from each other. You wouldn't believe how much I would get from something you said or you said. Robert with the food. But I think what I'm feeding off right now is the energy of us as brothers and what we're trying to do in the community.
That's a tasty meal.
It's a tasty meal you can't replicate. Telling you, and then, every time we talk free flowing, never know where it's going, what we're showing. But we be knowing the things and how we feel. It just kind of spontaneously came out. But Terrence, James mentioned something really powerful that, we feed off, those we're around. Sometimes we share, sometimes we learn and grow.
Yeah, I know that to be true, just as James was saying. And it really gets back to this point of being intentional about what we bring in terms of both food and relationships. They're both fuel, and it's being intentional about that and really understanding your lane, your race can help you filter sometimes. What's the good food for me that's going to give me the right kind of fuel? But what, and more importantly, are the right relationships, the connections, the people who infuse me with the spirit of hope, the spirit of opportunity, even though we know the challenges are going to come. Being able to have the relationships, to have the connections, to take it a different way, to take it in a different direction, to go out and talk to a brother and say, hey, this is what's going on. Oh, yeah, I know this, that, and the other. Hennepin Health in your case is looking for this, and you might be a great match there. And that's what when I think about community, when I talk to my parents and grandparents about what would happen in the community, what would happen in Rondell, right? That was the type of thing that was happening all the time. And what we've gotten away from a little bit, at least I've seen as I've grown up, is those sort of connections. I think in some ways we've gotten on this path where it's like, everybody kind of get your own. Everybody build your own table. But if you don't create space for others to come to your table, you're not giving, but you're most importantly not able to receive. It's not that reciprocal relationship. It becomes one-sided. Oh, I got this table. You want to come here? Okay, pay me this money, sit at the table and eat with me. And I think of this thing that was out a few years ago. Would you rather have dinner with Jay-Z or $1 million?
Yeah, I heard that.
Yep, and I'm like, why? Right? Jay-Z cool and all that, but with the $1 million, right? And the people I know in my community and the connections that I have and the relationships that I've fostered, we can turn that million into 10 or 100 million. While if I'm just with Jay-Z, I gotta filter everything through Jay-Z. I'm using Jay-Z's connection. I'm using Jay-Z's wisdom. And Jay-Z, he's a brilliant artist, but he ain't great at everything.
And he ain't gonna give you $1 million, huh?
Doubt that. Beyonce either.
He ain't gonna write you no check.
There you go. And so, if you don't know your lane, if you don't have the filter, you'll chase that trapping. You'll chase I got the car, or I'm associated with Jay-Z now. Come look and be with me.
Your name.
But
That
it
name
doesn't
dropping
do
is-
anything.
Yeah, it doesn't do
Doesn't do anything
No.
real.
No, you don't want that on your tombstone. He name dropped. No, but when I think about those things, you really powerfully mentioned, Jay-Z and things like that. $1 million, $100,000, building that generational wealth is something we're still trying to do. Yes, we've gone a lot of places. And get Emmanuel to pipe in. You talked about Minneapolis sound, going a different direction with that ongoing mission. But, taking that path a different way with the sound and bringing it into the 21st century, because we moved to a different place. Prince's legacy still stands, Jam and Lewis, but you're helping with this next mission with our music.
Yeah, very important. Yes.
How does that feel?
It's an honor. It's an honor. It also kind of feels like a responsibility. Me and my wife, we have a band, and we've done a lot of different shows in the city. We've done a lot of different events. We've supported folks, and because we're kind of multifaceted, we do media, but we're also musicians. So we can
real
move in
artists.
different rooms, and a lot of times working with some of these folks just on the media side, and we kind of have a lot of synergies there. One thing that we always wanted to do is honor those before us, but also preserve.
Right.
Because there is a generation that, and I was talking with you about this earlier, that don't know anything about none of the impactful things that Black folks have done here in Minnesota on a music scene that has influenced music across the country and the world. And so, being that Minneapolis sound is aging out, at some point, we want to be kind of like those folks that, we got it, and we want to be able to pass it down to the next generation of folks. But we're kind of like we always say we're like big bro, big sis. We're kind of like, the middle child. That's
Which way do we go?
Right.
Yeah.
And so we have a connection to young folks, and we want to be able to filter, that knowledge down.
Yeah.
Because at some point we're gonna be,
Yeah.
we're gonna age out.
Yeah.
So
Our
just keeping
parents.
it alive and preserving it. And that's why places like the Minneapolis sound is so important to just the overall
I like that.
culture of Minneapolis.
Yeah.
A lot of people just don't really recognize that
Yeah.
Minnesota or Minneapolis has influenced the music industry.
It's not just Prince.
I was kind of taken back because they did Apple did the top, 10 albums. Prince's was like number 3 or something. I mean, it was up high. It was his Purple Rain. It was like, it was high. It was up there,
Yeah.
And I was surprised at that.
Yeah.
That you took, Apple's worldwide. It's like you took, and you like that one?
Yeah.
So what you're saying is definitely makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. You talk about music. I looked at Rolling Stone a while back, had a list of top 100 songs, I think. Number 1, Marvin Gaye. What's going on? When I saw that and I thought about those messages, mother, too many of you crying. Brother, too many of you dying. That message 50 years ago still talked strongly. And, what's going on, where we can still go. That song, I listen to that when I get really emotional about Marvin Gaye and others, just thinking about that era, what they saw for us and what we're still trying to do.
But
This
my
generation
question
and the next
is to, I think across the board is to say, how do we and why do we keep not learning from history? If this song was written in the 70s,
Yep, early 70s.
and you could play it now and it means the same.
Mhm.
And there's a whole, even hip hop. You could play a bunch of hip hop songs and they say exactly what we're going through. But I'm trying to figure out, how do we step back, take a look at what it is, understand who came before us,
Right.
and really change history. I mean, that's what I like. I mean, I'd like for you all to talk about, because I'm always listening and learning about that, because it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because you're right, that song is still very valuable.
Yeah, valuable. Sad we're still kind of saying that same question 50 years now. we haven't learned. There's so many things that we're going through with violence, mental health, domestic abuse, and more. And we just seem to, keep saying, ooh, we'll get to the next thing. We'll get to the next era. And still, Marvin is still saying, what's going on?
Yeah.
Talk about that.
I was thinking about what he said about Jay-Z, and now you bring it up Prince. And Prince, his music is really something, but what he meant to he changed his name with the slave
Right.
thing, and what he came in the industry trying to get us to own our own, what do you call it, masters.
Yeah.
Instead of having a master,
Music, yeah.
we'll be our own masters.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I think I would have learned a lot from Prince on that level. I'm sure Jay-Z would teach you a lot too on a certain level. He might even teach you some things you don't want to do. You know what I'm saying? No matter how much money you got, I don't want this piece of that. But Prince, he's not perfect, which nobody is, but I liked his, besides his music, I loved his message. And, he's real authentic with it.
Right.
You know when somebody really mean and feel and live what they say.
Yeah.
It ain't about being what you say, but actually, if you live in what you really believe in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he said a lot, man, when he got rid of his name and put slave on his face, and he wasn't a slave to the industry. We talk about the industry so much right now, which it do. Us having a voice with the music and us having a voice was so important. But then when somebody's behind the scene, controlling everything, puppeteer, it's all of a sudden they controlling your mind, they controlling what you actually do.
Yeah.
And you still got to go and sit at them for your money.
Yeah.
It's like, man, your money ain't no good if it comes with this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think I seen some of that in Prince.
Yeah.
And some of them out there, they willing to do anything for money. They got them saying, if it don't make money, it don't make sense. So if it don't make sense, it's not gonna make no money.
Yeah.
If it don't make sense for healing our community, the money gonna kill you just as quick as a bullet will. So
that message gets lost so often when our artists don't really control their own music. It's almost like they're speaking through someone else. And another great song Prince had in the 80s, Sign of the Times, which speaks to some of those things
it was
as well.
before its time.
Yeah, so talk about that. Prince was really kind of, continuing what we were saying earlier in a different way.
So Prince was saying a lot of things, but I think back to what Nevin was focused on is, why is it repeated? And I just remember this thing as you were speaking, James. It just came to me. You stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. And if we look back as a people these last 50 years, we can even go back further because you can go to Carter G. Woodson, Miseducation of the Negro, way back. Same type of stuff we see in today. And for me, it is very hard to look at us as a people group, right? Black people, people of African descent, and really articulate what do we stand for that's different than, the people who held us in bondage. And it seems like so much of our energy is focused on chasing what they said was important, rather than establishing our own priorities, our own vision, our own standard for excellence.
But do you think our people are in a situation of blame all the time? Do you think that we try to do the blame game too much?
So I think it is important to acknowledge what happened, but acknowledging what happened is not going to change anything. And I feel like a lot of times, because we are a feeling and relational people, right? We want others to feel and to experience what we went through. But if you just look at that on the surface, like any relationship, when your heart's broken, you want the person who broke your heart to feel that heartbreak.
Yeah.
But the reality is that's never going to happen. They're never going to feel the depth of that heartbreak. So it really is, like we were talking earlier, really looking at ourselves collectively or individually. What are we going to do to move forward? What are we going to do? What are the things that are going to honor the legacy of the past, but also build a future that's going to have a place for our people, our grandchildren, children, our community. And that's the thing that I'm excited about coming together with others within the Cultural Wellness Center or wherever in terms of thinking about for our people. But I think this whole idea of blame and shame and trying to hold other people accountable, it gets us focused on the wrong thing.
Absolutely.
We got to be about what's the action, what are some of those strategic steps that represent the excellence that we want to get to.
Yeah, too often we think about the past and repeat the past. We stay stagnant or we move backwards. We don't really learn and grow. And, what our parents instilled in us, grandparents, we've learned a lot, but there's still something we can share with this next generation and even with ourselves that, we're growing and we need to show our other generations how they can, find their path. And it's not necessarily what we have done. They can find their own, making sure they find their own way, because in a lot of situations, it's going to be different.
Yeah, I think that is true, but I think sometimes we take that too far about finding your own path, making your own way. That has never really been, if we think about how we've gotten over in the past, that was never the standard. Make your own way, do all this on your own. It was always moving as a family, as a group, as a people, and doing something that built up more than yourself.
Right.
And I think the opposite thing, when we hear that message, because we got to remember, 400 years as an enslaved people. So we intuitively pick up and know those messages and they resound in us and feel like it's right. But it's actually very dangerous for us to think that way, because them doing that, they still have an entire network and, quite frankly, generations of wealth that can support that. When we try to do it, we try to do it all in our own power and will. Everybody else sees that. People like take a step back. Oh, that brother's going to get his own, right? And you take a step back, you find out, yeah, he may have got it for a while, like some of our athletes get it for a while. But when that check stopped coming, when you stop being able to put up them buckets, right? What's left? Oftentimes, and we hear about this a lot, folks are broke, but not just financially broke relationships, broken spirit, broken mind. And you hear about the awful things that can happen. But we hear about the athletes because they're out front. This happened every day to countless numbers of people.
I had a great conversation with someone the other day about that, and just what you're saying is that it's not just the athletes, but that's what they show.
Yeah.
And because there are people in these other higher spaces, these high rises that are committing suicide,
CEOs,
doing this outlandish stuff, but they don't show that. And we don't know how many of them are. When you wake up, you'll still see over on 20th and Lindale, 2 were shot, 3 dead, blah, 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 blah. And then they'll repeat it, throughout the day on every news. And so it's just like, that's the other thing, is really trying to, just really piggybacking off Terrence to say that it's amazing to me that we are, I don't get the selfishness. I really try to figure it out. Because it's not enough money in the world for me to say, I'm going to get in the consultant and I'm going to work the same thing that he does, and I'm not going to share. That's that. He got too much money. What am I going to do? And what if I do something, a little better than he does? He's not going to refer to me now because I started to train, this selfishness. And that's kind of what I see is that, being able to really lean on each other and really push each other to the next level without all this selfish and backstabbing and just criticizing.
Talk about the theory of sickness.
Theory of sickness.
Well, I think that I don't want to really get into it because it's the theory of sickness is something that my mother started almost 30 years ago, and she in her own right mind, the things that she comes up with are things that she studied, and she asked people, and she would sit out on stoops and talk to people and do these things, and it really was. I think that's what I'll talk about more than the theory of sickness, is that this stuff that she comes up with is not just something she wakes up and writes down. Like, she gets it from community. She goes in the community and she will chill and talk to people. And sometimes it would drive me crazy. But if I know what the impact would be. But isolation is just, that's one of the main points of theories. Isolation. You cannot isolate yourself. You cannot be sick. It creates a sickness. Isolation creates a sickness. And you really have to understand that. And until you get to that point where you understand that isolation and sickness go together hand in hand, you're in trouble. You're in trouble.
I'll also add, right, the isolation paired with this powerful undercurrent of individualism
Absolutely.
that comes from, that we're born with in this American context, in this Western context, right? The individual is supreme. And so with the individualism, it disconnects you from your people.
Yep.
It disconnects you from your culture because
Right.
it's all me.
Right.
It's all me. So what we saw in COVID, right? We had the isolation, and then, I do a lot of research with the Cultural Wellness Center. But we also saw this rise of what they call toxic individualism, right? It's so far gone about me that I don't see you. I'm just going to get mine. I don't see you. And okay, so I have a 19-year-old son.
Okay.
So sometimes I'm riding in the car, listening to music he's listening to. I'm like, oh man, did you hear that? And a lot of it is repeating, I got to do me. I got to get mine. Whatever else is happening out here, I got to do it before someone else catches me and gets mine or takes mine from me and all.
They don't listen to the lyrics.
No,
My daughters hate. When I repeat something, I said, "Did you just hear what he said?"
Mhm.
Shit like that. I'm listening to the beat.
I like the beat. Yeah, I know that's a mantra that you always hear, and it's really true, Terrence. Those isms, the selfism, being monolithic. We can be in silos, and when we're in silos, we've seen over the last 4 years what that means. Whether it's health equity, whether it's crime, abuse, and more. And important, you mentioned music. That we want our children to run their race, but that doesn't mean they're the sole runners. We give them guidance along the way. We give them ideas. You have any suggestions? Oh, yeah, I did this. What are you thinking about? This is what I've learned. So we help them along that pace because they're not alone.
Yeah, and I think of it as track and field, right? There's some rules. They have relay races, right? So you're running, and right, the key is the pass of the baton. Like, you're going, but you're reaching back, and someone's reaching forward and passing to you. So as you describe it, right, when we talk about legacy, when we talk about how we do this, just like you're saying, it's how do we pass the baton? How do we ensure that, right, as we're passing this forward, we can all run the race together. And we can take the things that we know, and as we're speeding up, right, we're getting to our max speed, but then we got to think about that handoff. And that person who's the receiver, they got to reach back and they got to get it, and it has to be an intentional exchange. And I think a lot of times what's happening, folks think they can run the whole thing themselves.
Right. Marathons.
And folks are collapsing. Folks are getting exhausted. Folks are getting stressed out, jumping out of buildings. And these are the things that, like you said, it's not on the 6 o'clock news. The thing on the 6 o'clock news is a bang, bang. But it's this quiet crisis that's happening within homes, within souls, at the spiritual level, that's got a lot of folks messed up. And I think if we're not talking about it, we're not connected, right, it's going to stay that way.
Yeah, we don't want that to happen. Running our race and running together, because it's not a marathon. It's a sprint. It's a relay. We're passing that baton. And so often I learned in journalism school, if it bleeds, it leads. Which, yeah, I know, that mantra. That's one reason I got out of TV news. That's another story.
Yeah.
So just talk a little bit, James, about, running that race. And it is a team.
Yeah, teamwork. I was sitting there thinking about we trying to be equal, like equal rights and equal, all of that's important. But it's a point where when you try to be equal to them, and I don't like to use the word "them" all the time, them, but some things you're not even equal to them. You're already above them, and you bring yourself down to try to be equal to some that's when you already up over here. And there's certain parts that you need equal, you need opportunity for jobs and all that. But there's some of that stuff is like we don't want to be equal with.
Yeah.
We want to be separate, and we're not always talking about being separate for moving separately, but we want to be separate in our beliefs and our desires. We don't want the American dream. It's a nightmare for us. It's not a dream. So
Yeah.
yeah.
We don't all have to be on the C-suite. We can be in the C-suite our own way.
Yeah.
What you're doing, what we're all doing. Roberta, hey, Miss Roberta, our excellent engineer there. Emmanuel, I'm Daryl Sellers. So Memorial Day weekend, have fun, be safe, grilling, enjoying family, building community connections, guiding our kids, asking questions, and connecting with them. Because when we take care of our mind, body, and spirit, it's our greatest and most amazing form of wealth. Have a great one.
Yeah.